Terrible was not terrible like a bad ruler. He was terrible like a thunderstorm. The Russian word grozny doesn't mean clumsy and evil. It means dreadful, fearsome, like a bank of black clouds rolling over the sky, blotting out the sun before tearing themselves apart and descending upon the world in a frenzied downpour. That's what grozny means. Ivan the awe-inspiring, Ivan the fierce, Ivan the terrible. This is the story of the first Tsar of Russia, a man who believed terror was holy. But it's also a story about you. Because in truth, Ivan didn't die in 1584. He still roams the earth, and you can find him in every abusive workplace and dysfunctional family, and sometimes he can even be found inside victims of injustice, too. Because Ivan was a victim as well, or at least he began as one. But he was even more. He was history. He was the face of a dark pattern you might recognize. 1. Demand obedience. 2. Create impossible standards. 3. Watch people inevitably fail. And then 4. Punish them for that failure. This is a pattern that plays out large and small, and once upon a time, about 500 years ago, it captured an entire country. The child who would one day become terrible is mocked, starved, and abused by the nobles who are supposed to protect him. He wanders the palace, alone, unloved, more street rat than royal prince, and anyone who's ever been humiliated as a child knows the dark knot that tangles around the heart. Hunger for respect and a driving need to prove yourself. Ivan never escaped that. In 1547, he's crowned as Tsar, God's anointed, only 17 years old. For Ivan, this is vindication. The nobles who tormented him must now bend the knee and call him sire. His lonely nights are filled with the soft smile of his beautiful wife Anastasia. The future he's longed for has arrived, and like so many who sink their claws into authority, Ivan inflates. The title, the promotion, the recognition, and the power don't heal the wound inside him. They feed it, deepen it, infect it. It festers. When misfortune and betrayal find him, Ivan is primed to pivot to the offensive. For decades, he's been powerless, but now armed with the crown, he has the power to inflict every vengeance he feels is justified. And this is the turning point of all tyrants. They view themselves as eternal victims, even as they strike wildly at undefined targets, fueled only by their certainty that they are the ones hard done by. And to move from, I am justified in my vengeance upon the world, to, I'm actually compelled to punish wrongdoers, is a very short distance. Ivan felt that compulsion, cultivated it, and drew power from it. And ultimately, it would betray him too. In 1565, Ivan carves Russia in two in his crusade against the nobles who abused him as a child. He creates an order of black-clad monk soldiers. Severed dog heads and broom handles tied to their saddles jostle as they ride from village to town, sniffing out so-called traitors like faithful hounds and sweeping the state clean. These men, called the oprichniki, take vows like clergy but commit atrocities like demons, all on Ivan's say-so. This is how bad bosses, tyrants, and even some parents draw followers into their loop. They say, you must obey absolutely, but if you break the rules for me, I'll call you loyal. Fear, defiance, reward, and punishment swirl in a ravenous, vicious cycle. In the year 1570, in Novgorod, the oprichniki slaughter thousands, drowning entire families in the Volkhov River. But for Ivan, this isn't a massacre. This is his liturgy. Terror is his gospel, and he is now bringing religion to the masses. Think about that moment when cruelty becomes a ritual and when punishment is not just allowed but required. This is the point at which a fragile, inflated ego has completed its inversion. It is now moral only by inflicting suffering. Violence and brutality are no longer things Ivan is compelled to commit. They are his gifts to the world. He is a god, but a fragile one. In 1572, Ivan abolishes the oprichniki, but it's too late. Russia is weak, drained, and collectively traumatized from the mass killings and unrelenting terror. Ivan has destroyed the nobles' independence, but his state is now as hollow as he feels, yet his viciousness doesn't relent. It can't. Fury was the only language he knew, and sooner or later it had to turn inward. One night in 1581, in a fit of rage, he strikes down his own son, the heir he loved, killing both his child and his dynasty at once. The famous painting imagines remorse, shows Ivan cradling the boy's bleeding head in horror, but the truth is much worse. His storm devoured even his heir. His godhood never made him whole. It consumed not just his enemies, but everything he loved and even his future. And now he is a pathetic god, wandering the cavernous palace like before. The wrathful thunder deity and the starving, abused boy coexist in the same body, but cannot reconcile. This is the truth of every Ivan that roams the earth today. Their power looks enormous, but it's always fragile, always defensive, always paranoid, and in the end it devours the very world they yearn to control. It returns them to the place where they departed, older, more injured, carrying the same desperate ache in their heart, but no wiser for all the pain and suffering they have both endured and inflicted. Ivan wanted to be remembered as God's avenger. Instead, he became a pattern made flesh, fear masquerading as holiness, a demand for obedience that is really an excuse for punishment, and the wounds of one person mistaken for the voice of God. This pattern didn't die with Ivan. It's still here, and when you look at the world with the right kind of eyes, you can see it for yourself. It's in leaders who create enemies to prove themselves righteous. It's in workplaces where impossible rules are designed to be broken, so punishment is inevitable. And it's in families where love is conditional on reflexive, unthinking obedience. Ivan the Terrible was more than a man. He was more than a victim and more than Russia's first Tsar. He was the storm that rolls in when fragile egos confuse themselves with God. He was an avatar of suffering cloaked in righteous fury and holy garments. He was a scared child in a crown too large and too heavy for a young boy to bear. He was a storm of pain, grief, and fury. And like all storms, he eventually broke, leaving only silence and the memory of terror. That is what grozny truly means. That is terrible.